For some people, Christmas and the New Year are very happy times. But for cabmen and cabmen's horses, it is no holiday, though it may be a time to make good money. There are so many parties, dances, and places of entertainment open that the work is hard and often late. Sometimes drivers and horses have to wait for hours in the rain, shaking with the cold, while the happy people within are dancing away to the music. We had a great deal of late work in the Christmas week, and Jerry's cough was bad. But however late we were, Polly sat up for him and came out with a lantern to meet him, looking anxious and troubled. On the evening of the New Year, we had to take two gentlemen to a house in one of the West End squares. We set them down at 9 o'clock, and were told to come again at 11. They told us that they would be playing cards, so they might be a few minutes late, but we shouldn't be. As the clock struck 11, we were at the door, for Jerry was always on time. The clock sounded the quarters, 1, 2, 3, and then struck 12. But the door did not open. The wind had been changing a lot, with a storm of rain during the day, but now sharp, driving, icy rain started, which seemed to come from every direction. It was very cold, and there was no shelter. Jerry got off his box and came and pulled one of my cloths a little more over my neck. Then he walked up and down for a while, stamping his feet. Then he began to beat his arms against his body, but that made him start coughing. So he opened the cab door and sat at the bottom with his feet on the street and was a little sheltered. Still, the clock sounded the quarters, and no one came. At 12:30, Jerry rang the bell and asked the servant if he would be wanted that night. "Oh, yes, you'll be wanted safe enough," said the man. "You must not go. It'll soon be over." And again Jerry sat down, but his voice was so hoarse that I could hardly hear him. At 1:15 the door opened, and the two gentlemen came out. They got into the cab without a word and told Jerry where to drive. That was nearly 2 miles. My legs felt nothing due to coldness, and I thought I should have fallen. When the men got out, they never said they were sorry to have kept us waiting so long, but were angry at the charge. However, as Jerry never charged more than was his due, so he never took less, and they had to pay for the 2 hours and a quarter of waiting. It took a lot of effort for Jerry to make it. At last we got home. Jerry could hardly speak, and his cough was dreadful. Polly asked no questions, but opened the door and held the lantern for him. "Can't I do something?" she said. "Yes, get Jack something warm, and then cook me a hot meal." This was said in a hoarse voice. He could hardly get his breath, but he gave me a rub-down as usual, and even went up into the room where the straw was kept for extra straw for my bed. Polly brought me warm food that made me comfortable, and then they locked the door. It was late the next morning before anyone came, and then it was only Harry. He cleaned us and fed us, and cleaned our spaces. Then he put the straw back again, as if it was Sunday. He was very still, and neither whistled nor sang. At noon, he came again and gave us our food and water. This time Dolly came with him. she was crying. And I could gather from what they said that Jerry was dangerously ill, and the doctor said it was a bad case. They call it bronchitis. The doctor thought it would turn one way or another tonight. Early next morning, Harry was happy there and said his father was better. Thank God. Jerry grew better steadily in the next days, but the doctor said that he must never go back to cab work again if he wished to live to be an old man. One afternoon, while Harry was cleaning the mud off my body and legs, Dolly came in, looking as if she had some important news. "Who lives at Fairstowe, Harry?" "Mother has got a letter from Fairstowe. She seemed so glad and ran upstairs to Father with it. Don't you know? It is the name of Mrs. Fowler's place. Mother used to work for her, you know. The lady that Father met last summer, who sent you and me 5 shillings each." "Oh, Mrs. Fowler! Of course! I know all about her. I wonder why she wrote to Mother." "Mrs. Fowler told Father if ever he gave up the cab work, she would like to know. I wonder what she says. So run in and see, Dolly." In a few minutes, Dolly came dancing into the stable. "Oh, Harry, there never was anything so beautiful. Mrs. Fowler says we are all to go and live near her. Her carriage driver is going away in the spring, and then she will want Father in his place. There is a cottage now empty that will just suit us, with a garden, a hen house, apple trees, and everything. And there are good families round, where you can get a place in the garden or the stable. And there's a good school for me. Mother is laughing and crying by turns, and Father does look so happy." "That's just great," said Harry, "and just the right thing. It will suit Father and Mother both." It was quickly settled that as soon as Jerry was well enough, they should move to the country. The cab and horses were to be sold as soon as possible. This was bad news for me, for I was not young now, and I could not look for any improvement in my condition. And since I left Birtwick, I had never been so happy as with my dear Master Jerry. The day came when they were to go away. Jerry, Polly, and the children came to say goodbye. "Poor old Jack, dear old Jack, I wish we could take you with us," she said. Laying her hand on my hair, she put her face close to my neck and kissed me. Dolly was crying and kissed me too. Jerry and Harry patted me a great deal, but said nothing. So I was led away to my new place.
Sing, sing, sing. Horse, horse, horse. Fowl, fowl, fowl.
Cabmen, cabmen, cabmen.
如果你喜欢我的视频，请帮我点赞、订阅、加分享。您的支持就是我最大的动力。If you like this video, please help me to share this video. Thank you for your support.